Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to talk about Celsius stock. There's something that's happening with the company right now, which has happened in the last 72 hours, which I think could be material for Celsius sales. And our blue sky scenario that we talked about 2 months ago, and why I like the stock so much. The stock is up 35% already since then. I talked about that if you want to get to the $100 mark again, Celsius sales have to show some inflection, and I think that inflection is happening right now. I'll talk about that thesis in this video. It's very early on in this thesis, but I think if early people who can catch on to this will benefit massively from it. We'll talk about earnings. I'm going to project the earnings based on the scanner sales data that I've gathered from multiple sources online. We'll talk about some trends. We'll talk about Alani, how Alani is doing, and the scanner sales data just looks ridiculously bullish for the stock, and I won't be surprised if on earnings we get close to the $55 target that I shared in my initial video. Initially, which is kind of interesting, a lot of the analysts have come out and they have also shared the same target that we had shared. So this is one of the analysts here from Citigroup. They initiated coverage on the stock, and they also talked about Alani Nu and the opportunity that the stock has, or the potential that the company has with this acquisition. So initially, if you haven't watched the video, I'll link it in the description and in the cards up here, as well. We had talked about Alani, and we were saying that Alani is just on fire right now, and if we and there's a huge gap between the market understanding and what the analysts knew about Alani, because it was the first quarter where Celsius is going to incorporate Alani in their guidance. So I just shared that the analysts are going to catch onto that thesis as we go forward, and the stock will re-rate materially higher. Once the analysts get a grip of Alani, the stock will be higher, 30-40%. We had shared $55 to be exact. The analysts are now coming out with that $55 target. More importantly, I'm going to talk about a Celsius thesis, which is just blowing up in the last 72 hours, and that could be the blue sky scenario that I talked about initially in the video. That if Celsius sales start to inflect positively as well, the stock will be higher and potentially will get $200 or something like that by the end of this year, maybe next year. So we'll talk about that. I'll show you some data. I'll show you some social data as well that I'm looking at, which I think could be materially huge for Celsius going forward here. So as I said, Citigroup gave it a target of $55. Then we have UBS at $57. Then we have Trust at $57 as well, interestingly, from $50. And also Needham at $55. So it's just wanted to say, don't want to toot my own horn, but we were pretty close on what we were saying as well initially, and this was 2 months ago before the analysts even got a grips of what was happening, right? So yeah, this was kind of a big for us as a community. So these are my scanner sales data information that I'm using basically. So there's an account called Bev Insights. They share their data on X for free. Like they just share some scanner sales data, and so what I'm using is I'm using the earnings presentation from Celsius and just adding this 11.5% on top of that, and then I'm adding the 24.2% on top of that. So what they mention over here is like the Celsius plus Alani sales have grown 11.5% over a 4-week period that was shared before. So May 31st, this is not the right date. It should be, I think, May 18th or something. And the sales grew 11.5%. When this came out, a lot of people panicked, but it's not bad, right? Because Celsius was just still kind of a laggard. And then we have the next 4 weeks come out, and that was a 24% growth. And then recently, for the recent scanner sales data, Alani and Celsius have grown 37.7%. So if we believe that this data is accurate, what I'm looking at for the earnings projection right now is potentially $1.5 billion in scanner sales data. That would mean 78% year-on-year growth. Like that's huge. It's massive. And I don't think it seems a little high, and it's possible, like especially this one, right? Because so what we did was we used the 342 number that was in the earnings presentation from Celsius and their prior earnings. We added the 11% growth that they had. We didn't factor in any price gain, which each of the 4-week period they had a price gain as well. That tells you the pricing power this company is able to enjoy. And in the initial video, I also talked about if the brand heat is there, you can actually charge a premium, and that leads to more realization, and that leads to more discounts and everything else. And I've shared multiple pictures on my X as well. You can go ahead and follow me there and join me there, and I do share a lot of information. So this was my tweet today. I just basically said that if this number is accurate, then we're looking at $1.5 billion in scanner sales, which is 78% YOY growth. Alani, I expect 110 to 120% YOY growth when it comes to scanner data. But if this number is actually accurate, that means Celsius is starting to inflect very positively as well. I'm not sure if this is 100% accurate, because this would mean that the scanner sales data year over year has grown 135%. Like that seems a little high. If you look at the May 18th number, I'm quite certain that this number is accurate, and it's very possible that this number is accurate as well. So if we look at I'll just share some social data here as well with you. So for Alani, they continue to see robust growth on TikTok. They've gained about 45,000 followers in the last 14 days or 30 days alone on TikTok, which is quite remarkable. And a lot of nurses and a lot of women are still just going, just liking this brand so much. Bev Insights is a popular magazine which covers them, and they also talk about how women are leading to category growth for energy drinks. And if you didn't watch my initial video, again, I don't want to toot my own horn. That was my thesis. I was like, the growth is going to come from women, and most women are into either Bloom Energy or they're into Alani. And Alani is way smaller than most of the brands, but it's growing at a rapid pace when it comes to market share, and now men are starting to drink it as well. So I think Alani has still a lot of room to grow, a lot of distribution gains. I actually see, which is quite crazy, I actually see more Alani distribution points than I see Celsius distribution points at this point. Like around me, there's 3 shops very close by, and only one has Celsius, and all the 3 have. Actually 2 have Alani. One has Celsius, and the one didn't have any of these 2. It was a very small gas station. So the distribution gains are still to be made. There's a lot of distribution that can be gained. There's some places that actually had Celsius before, but they don't have it anymore. So if the thing that I'm going to talk to you about later in this video, if that actually plays out, you'll see more distribution, and that could just have that flywheel going on, and that could lead to a massive growth that we saw in the past. I mean, the base is already very high, right? If you're starting with 10%, it's not like they're at 0.5 or 2% or 3% like they were 2-3 years ago. But even at 10%, if they start seeing like 8-10% growth, like that's pretty decent. And we just saw KDP report as well, and KDP has a pretty decent energy portfolio as well, and all of their brands have been doing well. Bloom has been doing well. Like even like Black Rifle Coffee energy drink that just got introduced is actually doing well as well. So this is a pretty strong energy like category in the CPG space, and it's leading to like it's having more price gain as well, and it continues to be really strong. So this is something that I would love to see that just keeps on playing out. And another anecdote here from, if you look at the Amazon, I don't know what's happening with my computer today. It's a little slower than general. So Amazon bestsellers, if you look at the top 5, 4 of them are Celsius brands. So and third is now Alani. Like this is huge. Like this, they didn't sell on Amazon before, and they've just gone on this crazy growth trajectory. And Celsius has been number 1 for a long time. And if you look at the reviews, you're already at 14,000, like 67% of what Celsius had in its entirety. And they didn't even sell on Amazon before, just because of the distribution. But now it's looking amazing for Alani. And as I said in my initial video, I won't be surprised in a couple of years or 3 years time, Alani might be bigger than Celsius. And this, no one's going to tell you, no one's believing that. But I look at social trend and social arb and everything else, and the Alani momentum is quite ridiculous. So I do expect it to continue. And the Alani search trends also continue to go. They're about to make a new high. Now I'm going to talk about the thesis that I have, which is causing the Celsius trends and just the brand trajectory to go higher. Once my computer starts to work, for some reason it's very slow today. These are the TikToks that are going viral. You'll see that and these are like all over the last 3 or 4 days. 3.2 million views, 6.1 million views. You have 76k, 3.7 million, 500,000 views. So what basically happened was there's a High Noon controversy going on. So High Noon is a seltzer brand. What they did was it's alcohol, 4.5% alcohol, and their can manufacturer is the same as Celsius. So what the can manufacturer did by mistake is sent a bunch of Celsius Astro Vibe cans to the liquor company, and they made 4 packs, 12 packs, and they basically by mistake they put 1 or 2 Celsius cans within that within that 12 pack. So a lot of people who thought they were having a Celsius, they actually were having some alcohol. There hasn't been any like high profile problems that have been caused by this, but it has led to this social media frenzy where people are sharing this like trend of like you feel very happy these days or something like that, and then they'll say, oh yeah, like this one is a good example that I had a Celsius, but turns out it was a High Noon. So now people are like on this like quest of like finding Celsius cans with High Noons and stuff, and like a lot of the videos that I was looking at here have empty shelves for Celsius. And what happens with Celsius is, or like energy drinks in general, is people will go and consume an energy drink for the first time that they've never tried, and then they like the flavor or they want to try different flavors and stuff like that, and they actually like it and they just stick to it. So it's a product which there's not much switching. If you like a specific taste, you generally stick to that taste, and some people like to try different flavors. So either way, that supports the thesis that Celsius can actually, like the scanner sales data, I'm quite certain are going to go like berserk in the 4-week period that's covering this span. And this span is the data for this span is going to come out at the end of the month. So if they report really good numbers this week, you'll see the stock go. Scanner data comes in, the analysts are not going to really know what happened and what is causing the Celsius increase, and the word will pass around on Wall Street, and you'll see the price go up just because of this trend, because the Celsius trend is definitely going to take advantage. So I actually tried to go and do some channel checks. I went to 4 different stores to see if Celsius is selling. Some of the places where they used to sell before, they don't even sell them anymore, which was kind of surprising. But I went to a specific place, it was 7-Eleven, and I was just hanging around in the section there, and I was actually blown away. I'm not making this up. I saw a young gentleman come around, and he grabbed an Astro Vibe and another one, another Celsius, because there's a 2 for 6 offer going on. So he grabbed a couple of cans, and I was like, oh, do you like those? I just like tried to like make it sound like I've never tried them. So I asked him like, have you tried these before? And he said, no, this is the first time I'm trying it. I was like, did you like what is causing you to buy it? Like, have you heard it from someone or something like that? And he was very nice to say, he's like, I just saw it like the social media trend, and I just saw it all over the place, so I thought I'll go check it out. So he was just checking it out because of that, because of that TikTok. And I'm not making this up. This is a real thing that happened. I did go to a couple of stores. I didn't see like crazy sell through just from my own eyes. But a lot of the TikToks that I'm looking at, it seems like this is actually catching a lot of fire. So, and this data is going to not come out for a little while. And once it does come out, there's going to be a surge of like, oh, what's happening? And then the stock could like really react. So if you look at the technical analysis here from the chart, my system has worked out pretty decently for this stock when it comes to our technical analysis. So this is the volume weighted average price from Jan 2023. If you follow the stock, or you follow me so far, I talk about volume weighted average price quite a lot. And this was a resistance area which I knew was going to play out, because this has been placed for multiple pivots. My expectation, I think what could happen is the market environment is not that great, but I think the numbers are going to be great. Like we talk about $1.5 billion in scanner sales data. Even if that's not accurate, even if it's like 1.2, 1.3, your realization for scanner sales versus your company sales is probably like 60 to 65% with all the price gain. They're most definitely going to they're most definitely going to report really good numbers. And I think the protein also is doing really well, and there's other products as well around Alani which are also doing really well, because women are very brand loyal from what I know, and they're going to buy just adjacent products that Alani also sells. So I think that's something else that could play out for them in the next couple of quarters. So basically how I think it's going to play out is we'll have a surge. They report revenue on 7th of August. Ideally, I could see the stock really go up, maybe gap up like significantly higher, like around this VWAP level, which would be like $53 to $54, and then it kind of settles down in this resistance range, and it's called support resistance flip. This is a resistance. It'll just flip it over, maybe come down a little bit into this support, and then once the scanner data starts to come in, it could just really go, because the analysts will be like, what's happening with Celsius, like what's causing this, right? So I think that surge could really help them, and they can actually go higher. And then Alani also does a Witch's Brew and some other LTOs later in the year, which also do really well, especially in the winters. And this year they're gonna have more distribution. There's more people that know about the brand. Last year that was a kicker where where the sales started to grow, as you can see from here. Like later in the year is when Alani really started to kick in, and their sales started to increase. This year we're already seeing this happening in the first half of the year, and once the Witch's Brew and all those other LTOs start to come in, because that one did really well last year. The company was not public. I was looking at a way to play this, couldn't find one. But this year we have a way to play it, and I'm quite certain I can make this prediction right now. Alani going into the later half of this year is just going to go like parabolic when it comes to its sales. The scanner sales is going to be off the charts. The green flavor, I think it's the Witch's Brew, is going to do extremely well. I won't be surprised by the end of the end of the year we get to 200 to 220 million in scanner sales data for Alani. I know it's a big prediction, because that would mean that would be what Celsius is doing right now in scanner sales, but I'm very confident of this prediction. I think Alani is going to continue to do really well, unless there's a controversy of some sort, like Celsius had with the cyanide thing. That could be the only thing that could stop Alani's progress. But Alani right now is it's a machine, and the purchase that was made by them, at what price it was made, at what time it was made, it was luck, it was genius, I don't know, but it's looking really good for them. So I still like the risk reward on this, especially given the market environment, where the market has not been that great. Celsius has relatively held up, good relative strength as well, and once the numbers come out, the analysts will know, unless there's like something very damning in the profitability, which I don't see again, because I know Alani has been more expensive than Celsius, and Alani has been barely discounted at gas stations and everywhere else. Like for most places, most drinks, you're seeing like 3 for $7.50 or like 2 for $6 or something. Alani I've not seen even once. I guess once there was the anniversary sale that they did, where they were, I think, like doing like $2 a can or something. That lasted like maybe 3 or 4 days, and since then it has been like full price, and it's always stocked up, but it always sells really well, and just women just love this brand, and I don't see any reason for it to slow down anytime soon, especially with those new flavors that are coming out later this year. So hopefully you enjoy this video, guys. Please subscribe. Please consider subscribing if you like.